Hello everybody. Next up we play host to Crystal Palace. Kick-off is at 2 p.m. on Sunday. No live TV in the UK as this is slated for Sunday due to our efforts sur le continent. As for travel, there's the usual engineering works on the C2C network, and the rail strikes that were due to take place the day before have apparently been cancelled. However, the cancellation of the strikes are set to cause as much disruption as the strikes themselves would have done, so really check before you leave. So, Palace then. They're from Croydon, in case you forgot. You know, the place that puts itself up for city status every time it's up for grabs, in the hope nobody will notice that the place went bankrupt in 2020. Or, more realistically, in the hope that nobody will actually realise it's Croydon. Palace played 6 games in the league in October, winning 3, losing 2 and drawing 1 of what was a fairly friendly run of fixtures. The wins against Leeds 2-1 and Wolves 2-1 and Southampton 1-0 all came at home. The defeats were at home to Chelsea 2-1 and away at Everton 3-0, whilst the draw was a scoreless effort up at Leicester. All of that has left them in 10th place with a 4-4-4 record, giving them 16 points from the 12 played so far. That's 3 places and 2 points above us at the moment. Daisy took time out from whinging about her dodgy ankle ligaments to inform me that they brought in 4 first-teamers during the window, or, to be more precise, 3 first-teamers plus a backup keeper. The first arrival was 19-year-old Malcolm Ebiowe. He arrived on a compensation to be decided deal from Derby. Ebiowe has been about a bit and has had spells at youth setups at Chelsea, Arsenal and Rangers, before ending up at Derby, with whom he made his professional debut last season. Been a bit of a similar story at international level, where he's already swapped allegiance from the Netherlands, for whom he has a pair of Dutch caps at under 15 level, to England, who is represented at under 16 and under 20 level. He also qualifies for Nigeria, so you could probably expect him to turn up there in a few years. His 3 appearances for Palace have all been made from the bench this season. Sam Johnston arrived as backup to number 1 choice custodian Guaita. He arrived as a free agent from West Brom, his contract having expired in June. That last season he had with a bag his cost of about £10 million, that being the value of the rejected bid we'd allegedly put in before the start of last season. Johnston's sole first-team appearance this term came in the 2-0 League Cup win over Oxford. They did actually spend some money. £21 million was the fee paid to Lens for Malian midfielder Cheick Doucouré. He's been capped 7 times by Mali, though those appearances have been spread over the past 4 years, with him starting just 4 times over that period, which sort of suggests he's possibly not a first-choice starter at international level. He missed the 3-0 defeat at Everton through a 5-yellow suspension, and he's been suffering some unspecified injuries, which have him rated as only 75% likely to be fit on Sunday. Doucouré at least has a chance of appearing on Sunday, unlike their 4th arrival of this season, Chris Richards. The Birmingham-born, Alabama rather than West Midlands, central defender was a €12 million arrival from Bayern Munich during the summer. Richards pitched up in Bavaria as part of a deal between FC Dallas and the Germans, whereby the Texans sent useful-looking players across the Atlantic on trial. Bayern liked the look of the central defender and took him on loan, eventually stumping up $1.5 million for the player. However, he only made 5 first-11 appearances for Bayern. He did see more action during 2 loan spells with Hoffenheim. Since then he's made 4 appearances for the Glaziers, but he picked up a thigh injury on international duty, which has kept him out for a fair bit. Now, before we move on, we should make a note of a youngster they signed in the form of Nigerian Kelvin Agho. Not because we'll see the player this weekend, he was sent out on loan to a Slovakian side almost immediately. No, he's noteworthy because they signed him from a Nigerian outfit, revelling in the splendid name of Hype Buzz Academy. Is anyone else hearing an American voice proclaiming, "To Lagos and beyond"? No, just me then. OK, let's move on, shall we, to the wild and wacky world of association football. And there was a major surprise today as the FA suddenly appeared to develop a bit of backbone for once in its dealings with Liverpool. Eyebrows were raised at the fine given to Klopp recently for his sending off the other week. This seemed to come without the usual touchline ban, which one would normally expect on such occasions. Having received the Disciplinary Commission's written report on the incident, the FA has decided to appeal. One hopes the appeal will actually be lodged with the intention of increasing the punishment. After all, given the FA's past track record of turning a blind eye to their somewhat cavalier attitude to transfer regulations, to give one example, one wouldn't put it past the FA to overturn the fine and award them a dozen points for their troubles. Meanwhile, FIFA have written to all 32 nations due to compete in the World Cup and warned them to focus on football in advance of the tournament. I say FIFA, the letter might as well have been dictated by the Qatari government, such was its tone. Rather a shame, really, that FIFA's own focus was more on the brown envelopes than the football when it came to the time to allocate the tournament. On to us then. Two matches to comment on this week. I thought we were excellent in the second half of the Man United game last week. Only some great goalkeeping and some terrible luck prevented us from taking a point home. If only we hadn't given an average team too much respect in the first half. There is something there to work on, I think. Now, if you didn't come away from the FCSB match with a warm glow about you, you either have no soul about you, or you're one of the UEFA Jobsworth who decided Divin Mubama's effort was in fact an own goal. Haven't they really got something better to mess up? Yeah, you could be churlish and point out that FCSB were rubbish, but never mind that. It was good to see the likes of Scarles acquit themselves so well. Yes, there'll be more difficult challenges for the boys, not least coming down to earth as they go back to the age group size. But the whole club will get a buzz out of that win. The only downside to the evening was Silkeborg's sad failure to get the point they needed to go through. Genuinely gutted for them. On to this weekend, and the major injury doubts revolve about Fabianski, Cornet and Paqueta. The first two of those three are rated as highly doubtful, whilst more encouraging noises are being made on the subject of the latter. Auger came through what was effectively another training match with no ill effects on Wednesday, to be looking cool, and Stewart over his first full 90 minutes since he did his ankle was quite a good sight. Note to Daisy, I bet he didn't whinge as much about his ankle. Having said that, I would expect to see him continue his rehab on Wednesday night in the League Cup rather than being thrown into this one. So the prediction then. I think that the performance of the youngsters in midweek will give an extra buzz about the place that will filter through to the first choice starting lineup. Palace aren't the greatest of travellers, no wins on the road this season, and their wins have largely come against the weaker teams in the league. For our part, some of all those shots will start to go in sooner or later, and I'll be placing a £2.50 bet, that being the money I was going to spend on a bribe to get those Muppet UEFA officials to change their mind, and I'll be taking it and spending it on a home win wager. Could you make that 2-0 to us, please, Mr. Winston? Enjoy the game.
So we're here in the offices of a Late Late Show with the host of a Late Late Show, James Corden.
Hi.
Big West Ham fan.
Yes. And big knees up Mother Brown, man.
Yeah.
Get on the forum at kumb.com. Come on, you irons.